We made it back. Peace, everyone. Hi, it's Harlow. Welcome to your YouTube live book reading of The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. I'm your moderator and narrator, Uriel NEVEU. So, last we were reading, we were in Alaska. So much been going on, guys. So, we are now back in LA. So we'll pick up at where we left off. Chapter 5. Look at this beautiful tail feather that I brought with me from Alaska. Isn't that beautiful? Absolutely. Chapter 5. The Healing Power of Water. Snow, it has 6 edges. Welcome. Welcome all. Peace, peace. We're at the top of page 95. It was deep in the winter of 1611 when the mathematician and astronomer Johannes Kepler crossed over a bridge in Frankfurt, and fine snowflakes drifted down onto him, all in the form of a hexagon with feathered rays. He wrote, "It is always like this when it starts to snow. Snowflakes always from hexagonal stars, and there must be a definite reason for it. If it happens by chance, why don't they form heptagons or pentagons?" Around 400 years ago, nobody knew how matter was constructed, how crystals grew, or what inner laws the formation of crystals follow. Kepler was the first person in the modern age to seriously think about the subject and to develop a coherent model. It would be another 300 years before the Munich physicist Max von Laue proved this model correct. Fortunately for us, Kepler wrote down his reflections in 1611. He not only handed down a pioneering thought, but one that made it easy to understand why all snow crystals and respectively ice or water crystals form symmetries based on the number 6. And this leads us to the fascinating pictures from Dr. Masaru Emoto. Kepler dedicated his Latin script De Naive Sexangula about the hexagonal snow to Counselor Knight Wacker von Wackenfels, a well-known philosopher, as a New Year's gift. He wanted to delight the enthusiastic nihilist with a present that came as close as possible to nothingness. Just a little star formed out of snow, along with a few thoughts about it. In these thoughts, Kepler pondered on how the little star could have grown and concluded that it would have very slowly condensed out of the steam in the air. The meaning of form. Kepler's thoughts regarding form were only that which forms a boundary in itself has a form, because the boundaries shape the forms. That is clear. But why a hexagon of all forms? Kepler continued. Peace, everyone. We are at the top of page 96. It needed further consideration as to what was at work here. Was the form innate or produced from the outside? Was the hexagonal figure necessitated by the material out of which it was formed, or by its own nature, which was either the prototype of beauty which lies in a hexagon, or due to the aim of this figure? So, inner or outer necessity, a clear, beautiful train of thought. After this, Kepler developed the concept of the construction of solid bodies from minute units, which ideally should possess a spherical form. That means that he had the first vision of what's today called an atom. He also had an understanding of the order of the spheres. He assumed that the order was level and there were layers over layers, which is what formed the crystal. This is still the current view. He concluded that at least two possibilities existed: that the order of the spheres formed a square, A, or a triangle, B. He even illustrated this in a second sketch. He showed the spatial construction. Layer A with a sphere is placed on layer B, and this then on C, and so on. Finally, a pyramid is formed by four equilateral triangles, therefore a tetrahedron, which shows threefold symmetry, and that has to be the architectural basis for constructing snow stars. Peace, everyone. Welcome to this corner of YouTube where we read books and learn. The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. We are now in chapter 5 at the top of page 97. Obviously, Kepler didn't know the construction of water molecules at that point, and so wasn't able to foresee the necessity of the sixfold, not threefold, symmetry. But in any event, it can be derived from the threefold symmetry. All in all, this was a stroke of genius. Kepler had described the construction of snow crystals in nearly the same way that it would be today. And all of this 400 years ago. Without the model of an atom, without developed crystallography, and without the help of technical instruments, crystals are still described today as a three-dimensional spatial grid made up of spherical particles or atoms. And as mentioned at the beginning, Max von Laue was able to confirm the structure of crystals through X-ray experiments in 1912. In the case of water, the crystal structure is determined by the shape and form of the H2O molecule. Contrary to what Kepler expected, the spherical density is less than he showed in his second sketch, but is formed of a looser group of molecules, which are ordered as a tetrahedron and combine to form little rings of 6. The sketch shows a small section of the crystal structure and of ice and puts it in the context of a hexagon. It also explains why ice has a bigger volume than water and consequently is lighter and able to float on water. As ice, there's relatively a lot of space between the individual components in the fluid state. Water is denser. See, and here's one of the pictures of the grams. That's A and B. You see how the atoms or particles stack on top of each other. And then they begin to form triangles, which it's talking about the tetrahedron. Okay. This form is also in our blood. Hi, it's Heart Love. Welcome for reading with us. We're just completed page 97, guys. Here we go. On to page 98 in chapter 5, The Healing Power of Water. Around 2 or 4 million water molecules of this structure are needed to be able to build around 0.39 thousandth inches, 1 millimeter, of one edge of an ice crystal. The connection of the H2O molecules in the crystal grid is made through hydrogen bridges, which also play an important role in the formation of clusters. It begins with a seed. Welcome, all. Welcome. We're reading this great book, The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. Here we go, page 98. It begins with a seed. As easy as it might seem to understand the inner structure of ice crystals, in the living process of growth, many different things can occur, and those change and shape the outer form of the finished crystals. Ice crystals can look completely different depending on what happened during the growth process. At first, this starts very simply, as Kepler discovered in 1611 on the bridge in Frankfurt. Water begins to condense at some point. That means the steam forms fine droplets, which slowly crystallize and harden in low temperatures according to the construction plan already described. In order for a crystal to be able to form, a seed is needed, a tiny unit of the grid on which the water molecules can settle layer upon layer. Such a seed can come from pure water, which in low enough temperatures develops spontaneously into a droplet and afterward into a crystal seed with a regular internal construction. But fine floating dust particles in the air can also trigger the formation of an ordered crystal structure. Once such a seed has been formed, there's nothing to stop it from growing. Layer upon layer of water molecules settle on it in all directions, but not in all directions to the same degree. Depending on pressure and the temperature of the atmosphere, this can be very different. If the process is taking place at great heights in low temperatures, most of the crystals assume an elongated form, often appearing as very long, fine ice needles, but always with a hexagonal cross section. On the sketch, see figure 4, this is the top part. The upper end of the crystal is able to develop even more surface area. More is shown in this sketch. If the conditions aren't very icy, but there's still thick frost, 6 mainly flat lateral slabs will develop. Below, one can see an ice crystal cup, a form that can be seen in the ice caves of the Alps, sometimes at enormous heights. The last form is a snowflake, as we all know. These are just the simple basic forms. What nature creates out of these is unique. We're at the middle of page 99. Welcome. Thank you guys. Hi, Love, for reading with us. The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru. Enormous freedom of creativity. Every single ice crystal is unique. Even with millions of crystals, no two will be identical. A pair might look like identical twins, but they'll never exactly be the same. Just like us, right? This is because every single one of them comes from heaven to earth in its very own way. On their journey, these crystals pass through different layers of air, each with different pressure, temperature, humidity, and pollution. And the falling snowflakes react to every small change. Let's consider how a clean crystallized hexagonal ice slab leaves the clouds and starts its journey down to earth. If it passes through a warmer layer of air, The edge of the slab will get loose. It If it goes through a colder layer, new crystal layers may be taken up. Sometimes this can happen quickly, sometimes slowly. Sometimes the growth phases are long, sometimes extremely short. Sometimes there's more humidity in the air, sometimes less. We all know from experience how different these crystals can turn out to be. In the never ending process of growth and dissolution, the most bizarre shapes can form. Everything is possible. If at one point it gets too warm, the crystals will dissolve completely before reaching Earth, and it will start to rain. Sometimes the droplets will cross layers of ice and become fine hailstones, and so on. There are no limits to nature's imagination. This variety has always been a source of fascination, and several people have tried to collect these ice crystals. This is much harder than with other minerals due to the temperatures involved, although it's just possible with the help of photography. The craziest collection belonged to the American W.A. Bentley. He built himself a special slab camera and spent winter after winter on a mountain in Vermont, taking pictures of thousands of snow crystals. In 1931, a book of 2,453 of his ice crystal pictures was published. A selection of these follows. And here's some of these beautiful ice crystals. Here we go. The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. We are reading in chapter 5. These are some of the beautiful ice crystals that were taken by W.A. Bentley and published. Okay. Thank you so much. Look at that love. Oh my goodness. Peace. Much love, Maria. Thank you guys. Thank you for reading with us. We're at the end of chapter 5. Thank you for your place on YouTube to come and read books. This is a beautiful room. Book reading, right? Thank you so much for being here. Highest heart love. So we're now at the bottom of page 102. It's the ending of chapter 5. So much for the rather conventional scientific descriptions of the development of ice crystals. These are always related to pressure, temperature, and other outer conditions. Masaru Emoto's research has introduced a new aspect, a mental and spiritual one, as he has shown that the subtle energies and vibrations of thoughts and words and sounds obviously have an impact on the growth of crystals. Quite a radical thought for the more orthodox mineralogists. The path of progress here, as in science generally, has been toward investigating even smaller sizes and even finer energies. It would be wrong to think that this path isn't being blocked by outdated dogma. But maybe these ice crystals will inspire us, as they did Kepler 400 years ago, to revise our concept of the world. And that concludes chapter 5 of The Healing Power of Water by Dr. Masaru Emoto. Thank you all for being here. We will be back with the part 2, health and healing perspectives. Yay, we made it to part 2 of this book, guys. Thank you for all the love. Thank you for reading with us. Reading is so important. We're going to come here and read these books, right? That's what we have to do. So we are knowing and not guessing, right? We don't want to guess. We want to know. Be in the know. Yes, right. It's beautiful. Back in LA. So, need y'all to keep praying for us. We need relief. We need all types of help to get out of this disaster. And so, your prayers, your love, it's all applicable and much appreciated. So, highest heart, love, and honor. I love you all. We'll be back soon with the next chapter and part 2 of the healing power of water. Thank you for all reading. Highest heart, love. Thank you, guys. Peace. Awesome. Thank you.